Today in our 2016 Jeep Wrangler, you're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the Roadmaster Universal High-Powered Diode Wiring Kit, part number RM-154. That's what our diode kit's going to look like when it's installed. It's going to be one of 5 main components in a flat toe setup. This is going to give us our proper lighting functions at the back of our vehicle to safely flat toe the vehicle. That's what our diode kit looks like when we get it. We're going to have our diodes. We're going to have our 30-footed wire that's going to go from the front of our Jeep to the back. We're going to have our tether that's going to go from the front of our Jeep to the back of our RV. We're going to have some zip ties to help hold up our wiring when we run it to the back of the vehicle. Then we're going to have some wire loom to give our wiring a nice finished look. Our diodes, what these are for is these are going to help protect our factory wiring from any backfeed from our RV if there is a wiring issue and vice versa. You're also going to have some butt connectors. Now for this particular kit, you can see we have 2 4-pole ends. The reason it has that, this is going to be a kit for your older RVs. And what you would do is you would take 3 foot of one side, cut it off, and you'd attach it to the other, to your RV wiring. And that's going to give you your 4-pole connection on both sides. This tether is going to be the tether to go in between the two to give you your lighting functions in your Jeep. Now, in our case, our customer has a tow bar that has a 6-pole plug already in it. So in installing this, we're going to be installing this a little bit different. We're actually just going to cut off both ends right by the plug because we're not going to be using either 4-pole side, which means we're not going to be using the tether. So we're going to cut it off right at the plug to make sure we maintain that extra wire that we need. This end we're going to run to the back of the vehicle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave this 4-pole plug on. The 2 rods here, these are going to be for my wiring. So I'm going to go right through this cutout in this pan. I'm going to keep out about that much. I'm going to tape that right like that. Now we're going to route this to the back of the vehicle. The directions tell you to go to a certain light. It doesn't really matter. It's going to work either way, so whichever way you find better. Let me route it to the back real quick and I'll show you how I did it. So after I ran my wire back, I came across to my driver's side, went above my frame rail and came up right behind my headlight, right to here. Ran it behind this bracket that's holding on my washer fluid reservoir, right behind here. Right up here, I took a little bit of it, bundled it up, and zip tied it to this existing wiring because we're going to be putting a braking system on this and it has to tie into this wiring. And that wire is going to be coming out right over here in this corner, so it gives me good access to it. Dropped it straight down. It'll go back behind the fender well, right down to my frame. You can see right there where it's pulled up tight against my firewall. This is my frame rail. Came over the top of my body mount. You can see right here. What I did is took some airline tube. You can use anything that has some stiffness to it. And I actually went through my frame rail all the way back because my exhaust runs right along. This will help protect my wiring. Make sure you stay away from anything hot like your exhaust or moving like any of your suspension components. So again, through my frame rail, all the way to the back. Came out of this hole here. We're going to go straight up through this piece of foam to the back of our taillight. Now to remove our taillight, we're going to have 2 screws we need to remove. It's going to be the 2 inside ones. So we'll just use a Phillips screwdriver. And then we can pull our taillight out. Go ahead and unplug our wiring from it. And we'll set our taillight aside. Now this is 4-pole wiring that they have for their hitch. I'm going to go ahead and unplug that for now to allow me to work with my wiring a little bit easier. Now right inside, look down in there, you'll see that piece of foam. We're going to take our wire and we're going to come right up through that. Pull this out. Pull that all the way up. And then we're going to separate our wires. I'm going to go ahead and separate it all the way down to where my foam goes in. Green wire we're going to drop back down through the hole. That's going to go over to our passenger side. White wire is going to be our ground wire. We're going to ground it right inside And there's actually already an existing ground wire with a bolt in it. So all I'm going to need to do is cut this, add my ring terminal. I'm going to remove that screw and just add that to it. And we can cut our white wire. We're going to save the white wire in case we need to add any extra. Go ahead and strip it back. Add our ring terminal. Go ahead and remove this here. And we'll just add this one right onto it. We determined through testing that our green wire with our white stripe is going to be our brake light and turn signal, and our white wire with the orange stripe is going to be our running light signal. So for this side that we're starting on, it doesn't really matter the diode, just the connectors. You're going to need the one with the yellow spade connector and then just another diode. Go ahead and start with my running light signal. We're going to cut the wire. We'll strip back one side here. Add on our spade connector. Grab it down. Do the same thing here. Then we're going to take our brown wire from our diode kit, cut it about there. And we're going to take the end that we just cut off. We're going to strip back both ends. Put these together. Take the large yellow spade connector. Go on there. Go on there. And that will go on like that. And then our extra brown wire, we're going to push back down through the hole, which is going to be our jumper wire that goes over to our passenger side for our passenger side running light. Now do our brake and turn signal. Green wire, go ahead and strip it back. You notice on the diode, the single side is going towards the light. We'll take our yellow wire, strip it back. Just like that. Because they got a sticky side on them, I'm going to stick them together like this. And then I'll zip tie them together, just like that. And then we can hook back up to our light. And if you can kind of see, I'll show you on this one here, how this kind of cups. If it's sitting like this, that cup will hold water. So it's a good idea to put a little bit of gasket sealer on there. Let me go ahead and peel this off and stick them together while I'm at it. Once you've got your foam in, you can reconnect your plugs and reinstall your tail light. Now I'm going to route my green and my brown wire over to my passenger side. Let me get it done real quick and I'll show you how I did it. How I ran it was right over top of my frame rail. I have my exhaust. I can't really connect it to the frame here, so I went over top of my exhaust shield or heat shield here. On our passenger side, we have a plastic panel. Rather than popping that whole thing out for 2 wires, we're just going to drill a small hole right into the corner. Then we'll take our brown and green wire. I'm going to push it right up through that hole. Here's my green and my brown wire. Now we're going to do the same thing we did on the driver's side. We're going to test our wires, determine which one's our brake and turn signal and which one's our running lights. We'll attach our brown wire through the diodes to the running light wire and our green wire to our brake light and turn signal wire. Now we're going to test out our wiring. This is going to simulate being hooked up to the back of your RV. Tail lights, left turn, brake lights, right turn. That'll do it for a look at and installation on the Roadmaster Universal High Power Diode Wiring Kit, part number RM-154 on our 2016 Jeep Wrangler.